Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Can you see the PowerPoint presentation, my presentation slides?
Yes, sir.
Visible that PowerPoint presentation, curriculum perspective, that slide is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
Sorry, extremely. Last week I had some technical issue. I could get the support from the correct person. Anyhow, now I understood. I got the correct way, because some problem with when they share the link, it doesn't come to my WhatsApp laptop. But it comes only to the phone. But now today I managed to uh, take from my phone and paste in the laptop and use it. That it was the problem last week I had. I am not an expert in the IT section. Okay, right? Okay, it is not a problem. Year after we can do our classes as we planned. First time, only half an hour, I took a class because I had to travel on the day. Today, anyhow, I had sent you. I have sent you uh, the reading materials. Here, last week, in our first lecture, we try to understand the concept of curriculum. Today, we can see curriculum perspectives. There are some different views, perspectives to describe the curriculum. And Vanance have stated that a curriculum can be described from various viewpoints. Today, we can see at least 4 perspectives on curriculum process. They have pointed out that the curriculum can be viewed from the following perspectives. First, number one is development of the cognitive process. That means giving subject knowledge through curriculum. The key role of the curriculum to help the children to develop their knowledge, cognitive process, uh, subject knowledge. We can use another term, uh, giving subject knowledge to the children. It can be reading, writing, speaking, listening, and some information, facts. It can be subject wise, science subject, geography, history, or mathematics concept, can, etc. Number two, something different from the first one. Actually, the development of the cognitive process is the very, very old view. At the beginning, the teachers or educational institution, they try to promote the students' subject knowledge, facts, collection of facts. But later, uh, different view they identified. Number two, we call a technical growth process. What is that technical approach to curriculum? Here, some uh, technical aspect included to curriculum, especially to develop a curriculum, some technical aspects they used. Development priority, teaching content, especially the cognitive process. Simply, the students were asked to memorize fact. But here, the teaching method, very, very important in the curriculum delivery. Therefore, the second view, they focused on teaching method, teaching content. Teaching methods were used, still we are using teaching methods. Different teaching methods are used to transmit the knowledge to the student. That included the teaching content, development priorities, teaching content efficiently to maximize student achievement. Now they have started to use new term, cognitive development instead of cognitive development. The second point, it says that maximize student achievement. Whatever the student they get should be measured. Then subject content or facts, teaching methods, and in order to measure the students' achievement level, they used another technique we call testing the children, assessing the children, evaluating the children. The present society, we can see we have examination department in this country. All the students in primaries, after the completion of their primary cycle, they face grade 5 scholarship exam. Then secondary cycle in grade 11, after at the end of grade 11, they face GC O level, then advanced level, end of the advanced level. They are measured by the examination department. Therefore, addition to that public examination at the school level too, we have mainly two type of examination, formative and summative, continuous assessment or school-based assessment, and term test. That is also a part of the curriculum. Testing, we call student, we are having testing, assessment, evaluation to measure the student achievement. That we call technical growth process. It involves first creating aims and translating those into measurable goals and specific objectives. Actually, in Sri Lanka, before 1997, we used this when we prepare our lesson to teach the children. We used measurable goals and a specific objective. But after 1997 and particularly 2005, we in Sri Lanka, we started to use this competency and competency level, core competencies and subject related objectives we developed with our curriculum. Now that is another stage. After 2015, now it is very popular. Addition to that competency level, it has come to micro levels. We use new term instead of specific objectives, learning outcomes. At present, we use learning outcomes when we prepare. That learning outcome is the new technical term replaced by specific objectives. Objectives are then used to design learning experience. In order to achieve the objectives, learning experience are designed. Then the technical growth process in curriculum is broader than development of that view, development of the cognitive process. This second one, technical growth process view, is broader than the first one. Right. Now, there is another view. Number 3, child self-realization. A curriculum for a child's self-realization should focus on fostering self-awareness. According to this view, curriculum is not confined only to give knowledge to the children, only to foster their knowledge. Addition to that, there are some considerable factors: emotional intelligence and a strong sense of self through age-appropriate activities. Especially psychologists, educational psychologists, they have contributed. Whenever we develop a curriculum, the children age, whether they are studying in primary classes, whether their age is for the junior secondary, what we should teach the children should be based on their age. Here now, from this view, now new concepts are developed. student-centered education, student-centered learning, child-centered learning. According to that, the classroom should be a place where knowledge is produced. They say the classroom is not a place where knowledge is transmitted to the student from or by the teachers. Group work, student engagement, experiment, providing opportunity to get experience. The children should be allowed to discuss with their friends and collect facts and ideas. Learning is an involvement. Learning is an activities. According to this view, everything they do not get from their teacher, everything they do not get from the books, but they involve in self-learning. Through different experiments, they create knowledge by doing practical work. They develop their innovative skills. They discover new knowledge. That is another view. The curriculum should facilitate it for child self-realization, foster awareness, emotional for the emotional intelligence. The curriculum should include learning activities, not only the content. That is the view number 3. In Sri Lanka, we can see the curriculum introduced in 1997. They recommended 3 different type of teaching learning method. The key stage 1, the highly focused, organized games, teaching the children through organized games. Then key stage 2, they recommended to focus activity based. Key stage 3, the curriculum designers, they recommended to increase the desk work. That is, they, anyhow, if I say briefly, they recommended to use child-centered teaching methodologies. The central person of a curriculum process are children. That is third. Number 4, process of social reforms. Now we can understand social evils in Sri Lanka. If we take Sri Lanka, our society, the literacy rate is very high in Sri Lanka. Only second to Japan. We are very proud of that. But what is the problem that we have? If you listen to our news, you can see shooting, drug accidents, lot of social evils, even though we are very good in our education system. we have to rethink whether our education system has helped to create a just and fair society. How people behave in the society. Even yesterday, there was a murder in our parliament. What is discussed most of the time used to discuss about road accidents, crimes. Not only that, our police department and other investigation department, prison officers, our courts, most of their time used is spent on these social evils. Then what is the purpose of educating? We learn value, we learn religion, lot of good things are taught in schools, our curriculum well developed, designed, but what's happening in the society, including the now you can see the drug addicts, the network, the young generation involved in that antisocial activities, they had gone to schools. They got education. That is one group. Another group, senior officers in Sri Lankan government department. Sometimes senior police officers, custom officers, they illegally help those people. Our curriculum, we have 2,500 long history of education. We are very proud about that. We have been enjoying free education since 1945. But do we have a just and fair society in Sri Lanka? That is a question. That is an issue. But according to this view, our curriculum should be a foundation for a good social process. There are many countries in the world, they have minimized their crimes in their country. They are living happily, very happy. Happy life, they spend happy life. Especially East European countries, Singapore. These type of crimes reported very, very less. This education or our curriculum should address this problem. Education should contribute to eradicate the social evils. That is a new reform. The education we can divide into two major categories, the benefits. Benefit concern, we can get one is non-economic related benefits. Other one is economic related benefit. economic related benefit, good citizen, respect, citizens to respect the law of the country, protect our norms and values, follow democratic tradition, citizens to follow democratic tradition, understanding, respecting others, develop their qualities to live in a multi-ethnic, multi-religious society, we call non-economic related benefits. We need other side too. Employable person. Because we need money, we need job. The education should support to develop skills, abilities to involve in economic related activities. Therefore, the new social reform process of social reforms view, the curriculum should focus social evils, poverty, crimes, road accident, major problem in Sri Lanka. Few of the major problems in Sri Lanka. Many countries, I can give example, South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, their curriculum, their education, the success for economic development, social development of their countries. What Lee Kuan Yew said, education is the only one strategy that they can use to develop their country. He said, only the human resource, not like our country, Singapore, muddy land, no river, no lakes that as we have, no natural resource, only the human resource they have. They develop their human resource through their education. The curriculum, the teaching method, the assessment method. Now, well advanced society they have in their country. That is different view, both view. Especially Sri Lanka, we need a curriculum, education, which facilitate for a social reforms. We can't happy about our society if we consider the incidents reported day by day. That is different. There was, whenever we formulate a curriculum, develop a curriculum, we have to select what is the best out of these four. Child self-realization is also a modern one, new one. We can't only focus development of the cognitive process, memorizing fact, sending our children to tuition classes, additional classes, extra classes, and prepare them for the examination and train the children to get 9 A's, 3 A's. That is cognitive process. We need that also, but we can't limit our education only to the cognitive process. In order to implement our curriculum and measure the success and failure of the curriculum and see how far our curriculum help for the individual development, we need some technical process. Teaching method, selecting the best teaching method is a technical one. Selecting correct content and finding efficient way to transmit that knowledge to this learner and testing method. Technical aspect, designing learning objectives or learning outcome, measurable goals and specific, those are technical growth views. That is also important. Number two, also that technical aspects necessary for the implementation of a curriculum. Therefore, whenever we design a curriculum, develop a curriculum, we should consider that technical growth process also. Again, I am telling the modern society, the new generation, they like action. They like applications. One of the weakness that we have in our curriculum, we teach more and more theory. The space given to teach theory is relatively more than the application side. Practical component in our curriculum, less space given for practical side. In 2000, by 2000, Malaysia developed curriculum for 21st century. They have mentioned the present world is not theoretical world, but practical world. Therefore, in their curriculum, they recommended to do more practical work in the classroom at the school level. Even in Sri Lanka, we have to motivate the children for self-learning, peer learning, group learning, authentic learning, experiment learning, experience learning, project-based learning, whenever we design reform our curriculum, we should consider the child self-realization approach or views. Finally, I explained the social process of social reforms. We should convert our society as one of the best civilized society, modern society. The curriculum should focus, address the social issues problem, and should help reform this society as one of the advanced society in the world. It ensures the continuity of a society by imparting knowledge, skills, values, and behaviors to new generation. The cognitive process that we started, that is only imparting knowledge, skills, value, and behaviors to new generation. The combination, but instead of this knowledge, skills, value, behavior, attitude, the combination of these factors, we use competency. The component of competencies, that word we introduced in Sri Lanka in 1997, the component of competency in the components of key components of competency, knowledge, skills, attitude, practice, KASP. One example I can give, in our country, one of the major problem, corruption in the government sector, from the central bank to ordinary department, we have that problem. Now the present government is busy to handle that matter. Every day you can see corruption in government sector, corruption. They are well educated central people, those who are serving in central bank, highly qualified people. Couple of years back, we had a big problem in the health ministry. Who are working in the health ministry? Who are handling our MB, some of them, our doctors, MBBS, well qualified people, Sri Lanka administrative service people. Hello, class. Hello. Good evening, class. நான் கிளாஸ் ஒன்ல இருக்கேன் 9:30 பீரியடுங்க. What is that? Yeah, to be one example only, give many people, including the teachers, they do not understand the value of the competency. I'll get one example from the school principal. A school principal should be a good finance manager. I'll take one lender. He has to play a lot of roles, but one of those roles is serve as a good finance manager. What is the knowledge component? A principal needs to become a good finance manager. Managing the school fund accurately. knowledge component needs finance circulars issued by the Ministry of Education and Treasury. We have finance regulation we call FR. The principal need knowledge on finance circulars and finance rules and regulation to handle the public fund. Very clearly written, well-defined clauses are there. That is not only sufficient, that knowledge component is not sufficient to become a good finance manager, the school. What is the skills the principal needs? There is a skills component. What is the skills? Skills to prepare annual budgets. Skills to bargain. Skills to identify original or quality things or duplicate. Or items. He needs skills to collect money from the parents as well as well-wishers and other non-government organization. Skills, that is related to skills. Then what is the values and attitude? He should be honest person. The principal, as a manager, finance manager, should be honest, integrity, transparency. We are lacking of that in Sri Lanka. That's why they have knowledge. Our officers, senior officers, they have knowledge, they have skills, but they are lacking of values and behaviors. Our education system, our curriculum in the past failed to develop skills, values, attitude, behaviors. Therefore, whenever we develop a curriculum to a country, we should consider the knowledge component, skills component, that now it is seriously discussed. 21st century skills. Yes. Therefore, whenever we, even nowadays, we are very busy with our organization, Horizon. We are reforming our curriculum. We are trying to give more practical work, reducing knowledge component. We try to include practical components, especially some subject, project, research, health education, more and more practical work we try to include. We decided to include in our curriculum developing process. Yeah. It is time to think about impart skills, reducing the knowledge component, and more skills, more values, more opportunities for the positive attitude development. Yes, that is the view fourth, number four. Society changes, the education system also becomes more complex to help members adapt. In one way, education should lead the society. Education should help for the social development. Society changes in the society. The same time, other side, there can be some changes can be taken in the society without the support of the education. For an example, globalization. Due to globalization, we get, due to this IT revolution in the IT sector, lot of new tools and devices used in the country. We import, we learn to use them. Therefore, in our curriculum, we have to include more and more AI, artificial intelligence, integration of IT into education, digital literacy. Due to the changes taking place worldwide. Therefore, there is this the curriculum has a big connection with social reforms. Right. That's all. We got nearly 50 minutes to discuss the four important uh, perspectives: development of the cognitive process, technical growth process, a child self-realization, number four, process of social reforms. Now we are moving to another subtopic, important function of a curriculum. We'll see what are the functions, important selected functions, fulfilling the current and future needs of a society through education. The society, it is a complicated society. We should give education to fulfill the current and future needs of a society. Therefore, we can't think only the current issues, current problem when we develop a curriculum. We have to forecast the society. Because the generation, the children now they are in the schools, they may live another 65, 70 years. They are going to work in a new world. Therefore, the curriculum should address the current problem of the society and the future needs. Number two, preservation, transfer, and enriching the society's culture. Culture is an important part of our life. Culture regulates our life, social life. We select our food, we prepare our food, we eat according to the guidance we got from the culture. Our dress, our family life, our social life, highly connected with our culture. Culture plays very important role in our life, human life. Therefore, the curriculum should preserve the culture, transfer, and enriching the society's culture. We have a lot of programs, activities, subject to realize the importance of culture. Every society has its own culture. They are dedicated, committed to protect it and transfer to the next generation. Number three, development of a balanced personality of the learners. That is also very important part. What says that balanced personality? It involves a harmonious mix of traits, qualities, where individuals have self-awareness, can regulate their emotion, and are adaptable according to the changing situation. Sometimes you can see youths, what happened to them? Why they are misguided? If our learners, our students are not a balanced personality, they can be easily misguided by others. We need children with leadership qualities. How we can create leaders? Through education, there are different leadership theories, but there is very famous theory. It says leaders can be made. Leaders can be created. The school plays a major role leadership development or balanced personality. Then number 4, promoting socialization. I think you will be learning. There is another subject, sociology in education. In order to live in the society, a child should undergo the socialization process. First, a child socialized by their family. இல்லையா கிளாஸ் ஒன்ல இருக்கிறேன் பிறகு எடுக்கிறேன் கிளாஸ் ஒன்ல இருக்கிறேன். Then second, very important agent of socialization is schools. Therefore, our curriculum should include provisions, include programs to promote socialization. We can compare. There can be some youths never been to school. You can find very rarely in Sri Lanka street children never been to school. If we compare a child, a boy or girl, with another boy or girl been to school regularly, then you can understand their qualities, their behavior, difference in their behavior. Socialization is a very important process in our human life. Therefore, the curriculum serve for the promotion of socialization. Number 5, new ideas, developing creative. In 2020, by 2020, before these curriculum reforms, curricular reformers concern focused on these factors. Creative citizen, the 6 goals, education goals, they had developed. Producing creative citizen, producing productive citizen, producing innovative citizen, they had included. But unfortunately, that education reforms, they could not implement due to various reasons. But now, the present curriculum, they expect it should focus on creativity, innovation, productivity in the skills development of the individuals. Not only that, number 6, addition to that, producing critical thinkers and intelligent individuals. The 21st century learning skills, there are 4 skills. Critical thinking skills, one of them. Communication, critical thinking, creative thinking. Intelligent individuals. We can't simply prepare the students to sit for the examination and get marks. We can't simply, what's happening in Sri Lanka? We train the children to answer to the past questions. In Sinhala they say Anumana Prasna. Expected question. Guess this type of question can be expected. Past paper answer, preparing the children to answer to the past paper, one of the method that we follow in Sri Lanka. Then we can't expect critical thinkers and intelligent individuals. Number 7, developing the individual motor skills. What are the motor skills? Yes, you will learn in the education psychology, the progression of an individual ability to control their body's movement. Which involves the growth of bones, muscles, and nervous system. In our curriculum, we have physical education, we have co-curricular activities, sports activities, games, different games. Some parents, they do not allow their children in co-curricular activities. Not all the parents. They feel by involving in co-curricular activities, sports activities, and other activities, it is a barrier to get marks in the public examination. But that is wrong. The curriculum should individuals' motor skills, behavior, to endurance, agility, strong, healthy citizen. Our curriculum should consider that part also. Number 8, imparting basic skills necessary for individual to engage in means of livelihood. To involve in day-to-day activities. We need some basic skills. To clean our clothes, to prepare meals for us, to keep our surrounding clean. There is a big list. In Japan, we can see the primary children from the primary. I was told no sanitary laborer cleaning staffs appointed to the schools. The student they engage in cleaning their washroom, their classroom, school environment, etc. Right. Number 9, inculcating the spirit of appreciation. Yes. We have our heritage, culture, literature, our education, our curriculum should include art, dance, aesthetics studies, literature, drama, etc. That is also need. We need some relax. Therefore, we need that type of subjects to be included in the curriculum. Number 10, provide a structure for teaching and learning, outline educational objectives and content. Already in the previous approach also, we discussed structure of teaching and learning. We need a different approach to teach the children in the preschools, then primary different teaching method. Whenever they come to junior secondary, different teaching method. Whenever they study in senior secondary, now the adults, different teaching method we can introduce. Whenever they come to advanced level and higher education, different teaching method, different learning method. They can, whenever they come to higher education, they can be guided for self-learning, research-based learning. Curriculum should provide structure for teaching and learning. I gave example for that. Objectives and content. For the primary, different content. Junior secondary, different content. Senior secondary, different. Advanced level in higher education, different content. Then number 11, guide the assessment of student performance. Now, traditionally we have standardized assessment method, testing method. 3 hours per paper. Paper is prepared for 100 marks. For a long period, we have following that standardized exam method. But now, many countries, they consider alternative testing method. Paper pencil exam, they confirm that is outdated. Continuous assessment, school-based assessment, class-based assessment, assignment method, the curriculum should consider that assessment of the student performance also should be modified. Number 12, prepare student for life and work. Employable citizen. After completing their education, if they can't involve in any, if unable to fulfill the job market demand without any income, without a job, they can't live a happy life in the society. Therefore, as I said, economic related benefits. Whenever we prepare our curriculum, occasional subject should be included. The children should understand what I am learning. What I am learning, that is content. What I am learning, there should be aim. After the completion of their education, the students will be able to get a job. The schools, education, curriculum should prepare the learner, children, to contribute to the national development, economic development. Because in one's view, education is an investment. There are different approaches in education. Cost-benefit approach. A big amount of money invested on education. After the completion of education, we should get the return. And foster personal and societal development. Therefore, the curriculum should serve individual development, social development, and country development. If there is a well-developed, holistic curriculum, definitely it will serve the development of a country. Yes. That is the second area, benefits of curriculum we studied. Next, definition of curriculum. This area will be continued with another slides. Part of these definitions of curriculum here in the next set of slides I have prepared. Already I have sent, I think I can, yes, last week I have shared that PowerPoint presentation. I think you might have learned. Definition of curriculum, we'll see, because by going through definitions on curriculum, we can develop the concept, we can understand the concept of curriculum clearly. Curriculum is the comprehensive standard-based plan for what? what should be taught. Why? That is, in other words, objectives. Learning objectives or learning outcome. And how? Teaching methods. How students should learn. Encompassing content. Whenever we teach content, select content, subject content, very carefully should select the relevancy of the subject. Very important. Encompassing content. Very carefully we should select the content area, subject area. Then teaching method, selection of teaching method, also very important. Instructional materials. In the old era, 100 or 1,000, 2,000 years ago, only the books and some other material. But in the modern society, instructional materials in the classroom, teaching aids, different teaching materials, teaching aids, including modern technology. Digital devices can be used. The instructional teaching method, they discussed that later, but this instructional materials, recent development. And assessment designed to achieve specific learning goals. This definition, the first definition, a broad one. It highlights many things pertaining to the curriculum. Curriculum acts as central guide for educators, teachers. Teachers need broad knowledge about curriculum. What we do in Sri Lanka, we prepare teachers' guide based on the curriculum. Subject-wise curriculum, grade-wise wide curriculum, the guidebooks we have. National Institute of Education and Ministry of Education, Publication Department, they prepare. It's available, it is distributed to the schools. Outlining the planned experience. Experience panel members, they get together and prepare the guidelines. Planned experience, knowledge, and the skills students are expected to acquire to meet both academic and societal demands. We do not teach, we do not expect that our curriculum should serve for individual development. Many people, they think like, learn something, you will get a job, do a degree, and go abroad and find a job. Our curriculum should not prepare selfish. The society, there are some elements. They advise the children for their own development, personal development only. Personal development also we need, but as a society members, our curriculum should produce young generation to serve the country, to serve the society. But now it's very famous man, John Dewey. Even in education philosophy, you will learn about John Dewey defines curriculum as a continuous reconstruction. Now there is a policy every 8 years. For every 8 years, curriculum of a country should be revised. Continuous reconstruction. Moving from the learner's present experience out into that represented by the organized bodies of truth that we call studies. The various studies are themselves experience. They are that of the race. John Dewey highly focuses on the experience. Education is an experience. We can go through once again that definition. Curriculum is a continuous reconstruction, moving from the learner's present experience out into that represented by the organized body of truth. Scientifically proved truth that we call studies. The various studies are themselves experiences. They are that of the race. We'll see another definition on curriculum. Curriculum studies is a program that develops student understanding. Program that develops student understanding of effective instructional system and professionalism in teaching at all levels of learning. Curriculum studies is a program that develops student understanding of effective instructional system and professionalism in teaching at all levels of learning. Yes, I can remember some of the component of professionalism. Professionalism follow code of ethics, updated, always update their knowledge and skills. That is part of professionalism. Practice whatever they learn. It can be philosophy, psychology, sociology, whatever theory they learn, should convert that theory for practice, solve practical problem. Teaching at all levels of learning. Therefore, curriculum should be implemented by professionals. It makes application to theoretical foundation in curriculum and instruction. Therefore, in order to study or create or develop a curriculum, we need some sort of knowledge on curriculum theories. Later we can study curriculum theories. Now we can move to another definition, very famous man, Taylor. The curriculum is all the learning experiences planned and directed by the school to attain its education and goals. Now we can see the term experiences, learning experiences. Even John Dewey uses that term learning experience. All learning experiences planned and directed by, there is a full stop that is wrong, by the school to attain its educational goals. The first step is formulating educational goals and find content and teaching method and assessment method. Important part of curriculum. According to Hilda Daba, we will learn their models later. A curriculum is a plan for learning. Very simple explanation we can see. Curriculum is a plan for learning. Therefore, what is known about the learning process and the development of individual? We can break that long sentences. A curriculum is a plan for learning. Therefore, what is known about the learning process and the development of individual as bearing on the shaping of the curriculum. Individual development is focused here. Midway definition of curriculum shift the focus from course of work or content to experiences of learners. Rather than transmitting the subject content, that is experience. As I said, here the new definition of always they discuss about experience of learners. Such experience of learners which must necessarily have educational value can be through both mental and physical activities. Briefly, they say education for individual, mental development, and physical development. The experience that is received by a learner, which must necessarily have educational value, can be through both mental and physical activities. We can compare two person one got education properly, another person not educated. We can compare their mental development. We can simply understand whenever we talk to a person, we can decide whether that person is educated or not educated because of his mental answer that we get from him, and physical activities. By observing people in the society, we can understand whether that person is educated or not educated. A good curriculum serve to the individual for their mental development and physical activities, regulate the physical activities. Yes. Recent definition of curriculum after 2015. Definition of curriculum between 2015 and 2021 emphasize it as a planned set of experiences. Simply they say as a planned set of experience. Learning is an experience or learning opportunities provided by an educational institution. What is the role of the education institution according to this definition? Educational institution should create environment them to learn. Learning environment encompassing objectives. The educational institution, whenever they prepare a curriculum, develop a curriculum, first they should formulate objectives. Then select contents. If we teach only the content, that may give only academic, may help only for the academic development. But the present society is described, identified as skills based. Therefore, the curriculum should serve, impart required skills that the students are expected to acquire. The international community at the beginning of 21st century, they formulated a list of skills, learning skills, literacy skills, life skills. 21st century curriculum developer, they try to include those skills. In the past, curriculum designers highly focused on subject content, subject facts. But the The recent curriculum developer designer, they are compelled to focus on skills development of the students. Namely, learning skills, literacy skills, life skills. The recent definitions, recent curriculums tries to connect the learner's life into their real life. The learner's ability to face the new challenges instead of a good citizen of a country. Now, the curriculum goal is one of the major key goal is globalized, produce globalized citizen. Because in the present society, our life is not limited, confined to a country. It goes beyond the boundary of a country. Authors like Qasim in 2021 describe the curriculum as the total planned experiences a school offers for its educational responsibilities. Now we can see new term. All the schools have educational responsibility, including the knowledge and skills students are expected to learn. Very carefully, we have to select the knowledge component and skills the required or expected to learn. Very carefully, we have to select. We can't teach the subject direct. Whatever it is in the books, we have to carefully select the knowledge because the relevancy of subject. You know, the problem we can give up from our country, we have been teaching some selected subject, geography, history, literature, civics. Our grandfather also studied same subject. My father also studied the same subject. My son also studied same subject. My grandson is also going to study same subject. It is not a good sign. The content, even the name of the subject should be moderated, modernized. The name of the subject should be connected to the real life. Health science for healthy life. Something should be added to the purpose of the subject. The purpose of the subject should be connected. Parsons Centuric studied the perspective of teachers, focusing on their participation in the curriculum development process and how their voice are perceived. That is a new trend. In our traditionally what we do, there is a expert panel. It can be the member of National Education Commission, NEC, some expert from the Ministry of Education, some retired people, some university professors, NIE people. They get together and discuss in the cities and develop curriculum, involved in curriculum development process. But actually, the teachers, those who are working in the classroom, it can be city schools, rural schools, their participation in this process is important according to the new definition on curriculum. They are stakeholders, the teachers, even senior students in the schools. According to the new view, the approach, curriculum development process, the approach should be bottom to top approach. We have top to bottom approach, but the new reforms, new writers, they expect that the teachers' participation, student participation in curriculum development process important because they are the people implementing finally in the classroom. Right. Finally, in these slides, we can see co-elements of a curriculum. Co-elements of a curriculum. The co-elements of a curriculum are, yes, already we discussed. Now and then I mentioned this. Objectives. Curriculum objectives. Objective defined decide learning outcomes. Different time to time we use different names. Objectives, specific objectives, competencies, competency level. Addition to, if we go through our country curriculum syllabus, guidebooks, you can get this. Now, addition to that competency level, they have introduced after 2015, last 10 years, we have been using learning outcomes. If we go to the NIE, I also sometimes participate in curriculum development for Bachelor of Education. First they decide, right, learning outcome. Based on learning outcome, they decide what is the content that should be taught. One example I can give learning outcome from educational administration management. Identify the different national level education institution operating in Sri Lanka. National level institution. The learner will identify different institutions which contribute for the general education in Sri Lanka. Then we have to teach. What is the subject? Yeah, the structure. National level, Ministry of Education, National Education Commission, National Institute of Education, the Department of Examination, the Department of Public Educational Publication. Their objectives, function, and duties, power, content. Content is the subject matter. Then learning experience. Learning experience are the teaching method and interaction. Now we can prepare some case studies. Small case study we can prepare. One principle about 5E teaching method is writing to a letter to the National Institute of Education to send him a copy of the circular. It emphasizes that 5E method should be used in the classroom. But the NI has no power to issue circulars. Some scenarios, we can prepare some scenarios and teach the subject. Okay, different method we can use. Teaching method and assessment and evaluation. Those are the 4 components, core elements of a curriculum. These 4 components are interconnected and work together to create a complete and effective educational program. Very easily we can understand. Instead of objective, we can say competencies, competency levels, learning outcomes, objectives. Yes. Time to time, we change the terms that we use. Content, subject matter, no problem. Continually we use. Learning experience that we use here, method. In the past, highly focused on teaching method. But now we focus on learning method, learning styles of the children. The importance given to teaching method is now vanished. Now we use learning method, learning experience are the teaching method and interaction, assessment and evaluation, summative assessment, formative assessment, different assessment we can use. Yes, these are the elements of a curriculum. Right. Now here you can see where is in this diagram, you can easily understand interrelationship of the components of a curriculum, aims, objectives. New terms can be replaced by aims and objectives. Competencies, competency level, learning outcomes. Yes. Instead of aims and objective, we can replace those new terms. Content, subject matter, selection of the content, organization of the subject matter, considering the student age level. Yes. The previous slide, whatever the fact that we studied in the previous select, it is in this diagram, image. Method, strategies, learning method, teaching method, learning method. Teaching strategies, learning strategies. Teaching, learning styles. Different names can be used there. Evaluation, assessment, formative, summative. Yes. These are the components of a curriculum. Otherwise, we can use another term, key elements of a curriculum. Right. If you have any question, you can ask. If you have any unclear area, you can ask question. We have 5, 8, 5 or 7 minutes more. This is the summary that we learned today. The key components of curriculum, you can understand easily. The elements of a curriculum or components of a curriculum. Highly interrelated. Time to time, we have to change the aims and objectives or learning outcomes. Content, subject matter also should be updated, changed, included, new subject introduced, replacing the old. Now you can, one example I can give. Already we had the history, subject history in Sri Lanka curriculum was one of the core subject, compulsory subject. Now the new reformers, they have decided to make that subject as optional subject, elective subject. That is, curricular reformers can decide whether that, but some subject we have, we give priority. One example I can give, in Sri Lanka, in our curriculum, mother tongue, mother language is the first language. But Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew made English as per some noise. Somebody, they have, please off your mic. It is a disturbance. Ashani maybe. Disturbance to others. Singapore Prime Minister, when they introduced new curriculum, they announced mother tongue as second language, English as first language. But in Sri Lanka, curriculum, we give priority to our mother tongue. Always mother tongue is first language. In the past, the second language. Now, in Sri Lanka, the medium from grade 6 onward, bilingual we have. Those are changes that we introduced in our curriculum, bilingual. 2013, we added new stream in A-level, biotechnology, engineering technology, subject and content matter. We introduced. Already we had only arts stream, commerce stream, science stream. When they introduced reform, they included new stream, biotechnology, engineering technology, subject matter. Method, strategies. Now, after the SIM project introduced by 2005 in Sri Lanka, they wanted to modernize our classroom with the help of foreign aid, the integration of IT into education. The new subject, IT also one of the new subject to our curriculum, information technology, artificial intelligence, new subject they introduced, entrepreneurship and finance literacy. They are going to introduce new subject. Those are good example for our content. Teaching method. The National Institute of Education, in their program, they introduce new teaching method. That is the responsibility of the teachers, replacing the traditional teaching method. They should authentic teaching method. There are a lot of these project-based teaching method, the new classroom, what do you call, I forgot, flip classroom. Now they have recommended the evaluation method also, continuous assessment, replacing standardized examination. There are a lot of proposal. There are a lot of discussion on the standardized examination, weakness of the standardized examination. We can get a lot of example from Sri Lanka related to curriculum reforms. Nowadays, the Ministry of Education also busy. You can get idea. Lot of workshop seminars are being conducted by the Ministry of Education on new curricular reforms. Okay, thank you very much. Now we can wind up. I think tomorrow also we have classes, 2 hours classes. We can continue with some new ideas on curriculum. Okay, good night.
Thank you so much, sir.
Right, welcome.